Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on Ethereum, your daily update on this Saturday morning. I want to wish you all a great weekend, of course. Also wanted to ask you, in this video, we're going to do a full update on Ethereum. We'll talk about some fundamentals as well. Yesterday, for example, we saw some momentum coming into some Ethereum projects. That was a good sign. We saw some momentum specifically coming into Aave, which you can see is relatively strong. Got quite a lot of momentum right here, as you can see. So that was that was good to see, and that's ultimately that's an indication that if we do see some sort of a fundamental catalyst, that is bullish for DeFi, that is bullish for Ethereum, the Ethereum network indirectly. I think the momentum is there, but at this point of time, there's just no fundamental catalyst to set that off. But we'll look at some other fundamentals as well. But I did want to ask you whether you are still interested in daily updates on Ethereum. I cover Ethereum daily, of course. I still think that there's value in that. But ultimately, at this point of time, the momentum and the volatility for Ethereum is quite low. Right, so we'll talk about what happened over the last 24 hours, and we'll talk about what that means for the price of Ethereum and what that means for my expectation and my prediction for Ethereum. But there's a good chance that tomorrow we look completely the same, right? So then I'm going to try to tell you some more news about what you need to know about Ethereum, but also ultimately my conclusion will remain the same. So let me know if you're still interested in daily updates. So some of you are, some of you I know still care about that, but let me know. But for now, let's get right into this video right here for Ethereum. So yesterday was a pretty good day. You can see that ultimately Ethereum still stayed within this range that we were also in on Thursday. But on Thursday, there was an attempt to shift lower. You can see some sort of a normal distribution forming right here around 3,780, which is also a very strong support level for Ethereum, which we were able to hold, by the way. So that's also on the higher time frames. That's a bit of bullish confirmation. But you can see that normal distribution failed to form. And ultimately, this normal distribution, which we had at the start of Thursday, was the one that held up relatively well. And that's also where the value area has been so far. So we got a good reaction at a high time frame support level at 3,770, and we also, in terms of finding balance and shifting balance, we found some balance to the upside. So that's all relatively positive, and that makes me slightly optimistic, to be fair, about Ethereum. The truth still remains that there's no significant momentum for Ethereum, right? If you look at ETH BTC, so the relative strength of Ethereum, that is not trending up. And if you look at some other relative indicators, I think Solana and Ethereum are equally as weak right now, which is not great. But I think XRP is also outperforming Ethereum, right? So Ethereum, there's no specific momentum. The volume is also not exceptionally high. There's some leverage coming into the price this morning, which I think is interesting. And that also makes me say that, even though I think fundamentally Ethereum is not super interesting, I do think it's bullish, right? And I think that the ultimate direction is going to be into the middle of the range right here at the 7-day rolling VWAP. We've also been able to break the point of control, by the way, of the range that we are in, which is another bullish confirmation technically. So then we have a lot of technical bullish confirmations, and we don't really have a lot of momentum or hype fundamentally. My apologies. Then the question is okay, what do I value the most? And I have to say, I value those technicals a lot. And you can see we got a beautiful reaction to the fair value gap right here. So I must say that we have some imbalances to the downside. Like basically this area between 3,795 into 3,740, we have some imbalances. And we also have a weak low right here, for example, at 3,830. So I think that there's a relatively high likelihood in the next 2 days, when liquidity is also going to be quite low, so it's actually possible. I think it's quite likely we'll see a spike to the downside, but ultimately I think it's more likely that with or without a spike, we're moving into the 7-day rolling VWAP at 3,980, and I also think that the market is strong enough, and then we have enough confirmation to expect to move into the fair value gap right here towards 4,080 afterwards as well. So those are my thoughts. That's ultimately what I think you need to know about Ethereum going into the weekend, going into Monday even already. So hopefully it helps. But for now, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend and bye.